Let's talk about lidocaine toxicity. Many of you guys know topical lidocaine is an active ingredient that is used in a lot of procedures in spas by tattoo artists, things like laser tattoo removal and tattoos themselves. Available over the counter within a legal limit, this seems to be relatively safe, but just like any sort of medicine, the poison is in the dosage. Two very important things for tattoo artists. After applying a topical numbing cream, after the skin has been broken, you are not supposed to reapply this numbing cream. Essentially what you need to know is that lidocaine at its chemical level can have effects on the central nervous system, such as the heart. And yes, unfortunately, there has been death associated with lidocaine toxicity, like this case, for example, of a 22-year-old who was given a very high dose of lidocaine gel to put across a very large amount of her body, and then was later found having seizures in a car and died of pulmonary arrest 8 days later. Another case, for example, being a 25-year-old girl given a lower dose of lidocaine by a spa employee. She had to apply it to her groin, to her ankle. That's a large amount of skin. She ended up having seizures and spent the next 2 years on a respirator. Although these cases are relatively rare, they do happen, and it's why we need education on it. It's important for tattoo artists to know the early side effects of lidocaine toxicity, such as like tongue tingling, lightheadedness, dizziness, visual and auditory disturbances, drowsiness. Do you see the problem here? The problem is that some of these symptoms like dizziness, lightheadedness can be associated with, oh, you've just gotten a tattoo, your blood sugar is low. And so some people might miss the signs of lidocaine toxicity. Many tattoo creams stopped coming with active ingredient pamphlets. A lot of numbing creams, especially ones from China, are not regulated, and you have to be extra careful because you can't even trust what's on the label. Look at this tube of TKTX. It says epinephrine, prilocaine, cream base, and so on. What's so on? A lot of these companies, because of the lack of regulation, can lie about the lidocaine percentage in their product. It might say 4%, which is about the legal limit, but it might actually have anywhere from up to 9% lidocaine in it. And if those creams were to come with a warning, you would read that there is actually a limit to the amount of surface area that these creams can be covered, because product times square inches equals milligrams entering the bloodstream, and then there is a threshold for that that causes toxicity. Creams are especially dangerous because epinephrine and prilocaine usually go with this lidocaine in these cream products. The epinephrine and prilocaine allow the lidocaine to go through the skin and be absorbed into the bloodstream much faster. Notice that. Absorbed into the bloodstream much faster. So if you have someone who already has this cream on them and epinephrine, and there's a lot of vasoconstriction going around, and then you tattoo them and then you apply it again, you are now applying this medication to an area that is already vasoconstricted, is already have residual epinephrine and lidocaine and prilocaine on it, and you're just adding more on top of it, increasing the risk of toxicity. This can especially go for clients with really large amounts of their body covered in this, such as huge chest pieces and back pieces. There is a reason why there is actually written surface area limits. If you notice any of these signs on a client and are worried about lidocaine toxicity, remove the cream immediately. Clean the skin multiple times with alcohol, and then you need to watch your client for 30 minutes to 2 hours, because that's how long it takes for the lidocaine to fully remove from the system. If any signs of cardiac suppression or seizures, you need to call 911. Note that this is relatively rare, and it also can affect every individual very differently. There was actually a study that I read, and there was such a huge difference between individuals because of their liver function and metabolism that there's really no way to predict how someone is going to react to a large amount of lidocaine. Just because something is over the counter does not mean it's safe.